Welcome back, and we've got another shoe battle here today, and this is going to be a brand battle and looking at the difference between Carmina and TLB Mallorca's Mainline. Both provide some really excellent shoes. We're comparing some in smooth leather and in suede, and I really think you're going to like what you see here. Hey, before we get started, I just wanted to point out that I've organized all my videos into playlists on my channel. So if you're looking for more videos around a specific topic, especially topics like this with general shoe knowledge, you can find all of the videos in one place so that you're able to easily access everything that's out there. Thanks much. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Shoe Battle between Carmina and TLB. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be comparing the TLB Mainline to some Carminas, and we're going to have two shoes in each line, one in suede and one in regular smooth leather, although I do have a pie crust split-toe derby in a pebble grain that I'm going to be using from TLB. But so let's just start talking about what's the difference between these shoes. I'm going to talk about four shoes today. The first one is a Carmina Semi-Brogue. It is in a brown Vegano leather and has JR soles. This was a mass drop shoe and actually came with shoe trees that are for the rain last, and this is on the rain last in Carmina. Pretty nice shoe, good strong part of my collection. Then I've got a forest last. It's just a plain toe derby. Pretty plain, beautiful suede. Of course, it's a blue suede shoe, which is why I bought it. And this was actually the first shoe I bought for Carmina. Has a rubber sole, and this is like a day-night sole, but it is not a day-night brand. Carmina makes their own, or at least they've told me they make their own. Now, the TLB, this is on the Byron last. This is a long wing blucher, okay? Also with a rubber sole, so we'll get a pretty good comparison on the rubber soles. And you know, this is also suede, so we can talk a little bit about suede quality. And then last is on the Oliver last for TLB. This is this pie crust split toe derby, and this is also on JR soles, but this is a double sole with a storm welt that I asked to be done on these as well. So now this is not a smooth leather. This is a pebble grain, but I do think that it's a fair comparison in order to be able to get the overall quality of the shoes. So that's what we're going to compare today. Hope that you guys find it enjoyable. Please let me know in the comments if you don't. And I've never asked for this before, but just for the record, about 70% of the people who watch this are not subscribers. If you want to be able to understand what I'm doing and when I'm releasing, if you click subscribe, you'll be notified. So something to think about. Okay, so let's talk about suede first. How do you measure what is important and how to decide on quality of the shoe? Well, the first thing would be just the smoothness, I think, of the suede. Suede can be done in a lot of different ways. All of this is coming from Charles Stead out of the UK, which is a famous suede tannery and very good. Okay, but you know, there's long suede, there's soft suede. It all wears a little bit differently, and I think that the long suede is not necessarily as high quality as the short suede. And this is a very, very high quality. The shoes are lined. The lining is very, very soft. And this is a very high quality suede. You can see after a year of wear, there are no creases. There is a little bit of a wrinkle, okay, which is to be expected. But you know, the shoes are worn. That's why we have them. But it is holding up really well. So so that's a short suede and extremely soft. Now we get to this one, and this is also a very short pile suede. You can see you can make the color change a little bit, just like you can on the other one, but it's not long, and it's not something that will get dirty. It is you know, as repellent of stains as the other one. I use the spray that came with a pair of Carmina shoes on all my suede. I also have Uggs spray, and I have Ellen Edmonds suede spray. They all work pretty much the same. When I first started wearing suede shoes, I was under the impression that you needed to spray them once in their life. I've since come to learn that you're supposed to do it every 3-4 months. So I try to do it, but realistically, I probably do it once a year, maybe. So, and you know, I had one pair of suede shoes for years, and now I have, I think, 13. So definitely a difference in how I view the maintenance of it now that I have quite a few. So you know, I think that broguing is an interesting detail on the TLB. Certainly not something that you can compare to, but the level of detail that they do in the brogue is very nice. And they do have a storm welt on this shoe as well. And I think that storm welts are very appropriate when you're looking at suede shoes, just in general, something to think about. Carmina elected to do a regular hidden welt on this. Still, you know, quality, but that's a design aesthetic I think would have done differently for suede. Also, this is a slightly thinner sole. Okay. The TLB is just a little bit thicker. So again, not terribly much, but enough that you know, I would probably say that this is like a double sole. You know, that's a difference between leather soles and rubber soles. A leather double sole, you can actually go and you can look at it and you can see the midsole and you can see that there's an extra piece of leather there. With rubber, you can't. They just use a thicker sole, which is good. That's what we want them to do. But it is something to keep in mind. So if we take out our handy measuring tape, I rated my wife's sewing kit again, and we look at the stitch density on the sole, the TLB is a little bit less than 3. I'll take a picture that's close up so that you're able to see it. If we look at the Carmina, it is a solid 3. So that's a slight difference, right? So that means that, and you can actually look on the underside of the shoe as well. And yeah, you get all stitches in on the Carmina, and you only get 2.5 in on the TLB. So that's a little bit different. If we look at the stitch density on the upper, and by the way, if you remember my video where I was looking at Carmina versus the Artista line, that was reversed. The Artista line was much denser than the Carmina. If we look here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches on the TLB. And if we look at the Carmina, and I always have to be careful when I do this on a shoe because I want to make sure that I'm doing it in an area where they're not making the stitches wide for the purpose of the design. So here I'll look up toward the top here, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the Carmina. So so same stitch density on the upper, a little bit denser. A little bit, right? This is not, you know, 1.5 versus 3. This is 2.5, 2 3/4 versus 3. A little bit denser on the Carmina. As we look at the reverse stitch, there is a reverse stitch here on the Carmina. Very difficult to see. I'll take a picture of it with my camera, and that's nice. As I'm looking at the TLB, there is not a reverse stitch. So let's look at the soles. You know, I think that it's nice to look at soles. You can see that on the TLB, there's a slight bevel, but it's also a little bit wide. Okay. If you look at the Carmina, it's a little bit narrower, and there is also a slight bevel, but I'm going to call that almost non-existent, right? I mean, there's kind of there. You can see where it's not quite flat, but I don't think that that is a, maybe it is a fair comparison. This just, I think this caught the light pretty well. So not a significant bevel on either of these. So that's the suede, right? If you feel the leather or the rubber, oh, the waist. This certainly looks like it's a thinner waist, but when it comes time to actually measure it, I think what it is that the contrast stitching makes you look at the distance between the stitches, not the distance between the edge, because this one measures pretty much the same. So only a half a centimeter, a quarter of a centimeter different. So again, not very significant. When it comes to your basic things, your lining on both of them is very high quality. It feels almost identical. So now let's talk about the smooth leather. If we look at the last design, and that's always tricky, right? Because now you have a Derby versus an Oxford, but I think that they both have a little bit of an edge here for the toe. Okay. So it's a little different, but it's also very, very, very similar. You look at the overall last shape, one is a little bit more rounded than the other, but again, both are what I would consider to be well-formed, well-designed, and stylish lasts, not something that I would consider to be overly simple, overly round, certainly not like an American, like an Aldenbury last, which is like big and chunky. So not tremendously different there. You can look, if you look on the Carmina here, there's a really nice fudging line, and I'll get that in the picture. And that's a nice line. That is not on the TLB at all. But then again, these are not as dressy a shoe, so I would probably not have put them on there anyway. So there's no fudging at all on this. If we look at the stitch density on the sole, and again, I'll include a nice picture of this so you can see it. But this is 3 on the Carmina. And this is 3. So it's the same as it was on the suede, 2 3/4, 3. It's really close on here as well. If I look at the stitch density on the upper, it's 1 2 3 4 5 6. And if I look here, 1 2 3 4 5 5.5 6. It's really close. Again, it's difficult on the upper because you just don't know, whether or not it's for design or whether it's for, utility. So you try to find something that is definitely part of the structure of the shoe when you're measuring it. So anyway, if we look at the obviously the sole thickness is something that I chose when I bought them. If I look at the waist on the Carmina on these is 6 3/4. So it's a narrow waist on these, and then on these it's actually pretty big. It's actually 7.5. This does have a slight bevel, okay? And you can really see the bevel on this. As we look at the Carmina, yeah, that's got a slight bevel too. So, they both have a slight bevel. They both have, I'm going to say that is a straight heel, not a beveled, or not a beveled heel. This is straight. Now this is a 360-degree welt, and again, that's the design of the shoe. That has nothing to do with the quality of the manufacturer. But because this is a 360-degree welt, this heel is much thicker than this one. That's part of what makes this a more casual shoe. So, but again, that's perfectly acceptable and not a sign of quality. So as we get to the conclusion of this shoe battle, I want to point out a couple of things. First, let's look at the price of Carmina versus the price of TLB. This is the TLB Mainline, so you're looking at an investment of around $305. If you're looking at the price of a Carmina Mainline, you're looking at $475. So yeah, that is almost 60% more for a Carmina. Now, the only difference that we saw in relative quality aspects was that the stitch density on the sole was slightly higher. Slightly, 2 3/4 versus 3. Now think about that. So if you're looking to buy a pair of shoes made in Spain, you're looking for a very high quality pair, I would check out TLB Mallorca. It seems like it's a higher value shoe than Carmina, and the quality, for all intents and purposes, for the feel of the suede, the feel of the leather, the feel of the linings, the break-in period, the quality of the soles, the ability to have JR soles, all the ability to customize. Okay, and customize is going to cost you 30% more. It's going to be the same, about the same on both shoes. That's not going to be a tremendous difference. Having the ability to get what you want on the shoe, having the ability to get wide if you have a wide foot, that's worth it. Okay, you want shoes that fit you. So I think it's a really great opportunity to try a new brand. TLB Mallorca is only a couple years old. And it's certainly, in my opinion, well worth giving a try. And for almost 60% of the price of a Carmina, I think you should give it a try. So this is Wisconsin Shoe Guy. That is all I have for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know in your comments on what you think. And if you like the videos and they're beneficial to you, please subscribe so that you know when I release new ones. Thanks.